5 after 10, and I want to try and keep this, on time. So I'm just going to do some introductions here, make a couple of quick announcements, and then we'll get going here. Well, thank you everybody for coming. As you know, Arthur and Chris are from the Accelerator. Arthur is the CEO of the Accelerator. Chris is the president. They're going to be talking to us today about the Accelerator, what they're doing, and basically just small business tips, advice, and if you have any questions, I'm sure we'll have a question period here. So don't feel free to jump in there and ask. I'm going to make a couple of quick announcements for future Zooms, just so I can get that ahead of time before anybody jumps out later on. We're going to continue to have the Zooms every Wednesday from now through the foreseeable future. Currently, we have, next week, we have Alex Brown, who is an international speaker. He's been in every blog and most of the entrepreneurial magazines in the US. He started, along with some friends, he was the founder of the Beard Club. Now he's started e-commerce Rockstars. He talks everywhere. Great resource, great guy, really down to earth. So I don't think you're going to want to miss that one there. The following week, we have Nicole from CFIB, who's going to be talking about small business and how the CFIB can help there and the different things that are available, as well as answering your business questions. And then after that, we've got the following week, which is the 13th. I don't think we have that one booked down yet. I'm not sure. Oh, sorry. Yes, we do. It's Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham is a motivational speaker, business coach, hilarious guy, and very entertaining, very informative. And then on the 20th of May, we have Reno from the city councilor from Windsor. He's going to be talking about small business and the COVID situation in Windsor. Basically what their plans, what they're doing now, what their plans are for the future, and then answering any questions people have from a municipal standpoint. So we've got that's up to the 20th of May is where we're booked to now. If you have any people that you'd like to see on, please get a hold of me, let me know. And without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Arthur and Chris.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone, for inviting us. Really happy to connect, and just in this crazy time, really unprecedented. It's really good to sort of have these, well, there's still human contact. It's not exactly as close and as in person, but it's really great to have this network for us to rely on and just exchange ideas and just stay positive. So actually, I just texted. Do you want to give a quick update on the Accelerator, Chris, and then, or you want me to do it?
Sure. Like Arthur said, we did just get, we're in the same boat that everybody else is. Funding dried up, work dried up. We had to close the building. So, we're going in once a day just for insurance purposes to make sure that, nobody broke a window or tried to break in and nothing's flooding and pipes didn't break. But other than that, we're in the same boat.
I'm going to get away from my kids. I'm at the office right now.
Yeah. One of the benefits that we have with Arthur and I, we're basically the two people running this in a 55,000 square foot building. So there's enough room for us to be socially distant in the same office. But I think one of the strengths that we have as the Accelerator is we're we have no government funding, no core funding. We're pretty much self-generated for revenue with a couple grants here and there. So we're very used to operating on a shoestring budget with a very, very limited runway. So the big shock for us, or the big shock for everybody else, which is when work and money dried up, for us wasn't anything really new. It was just some different parameters on it. So what we've been able to do through this is actually remain focused. And that's, I think, one of the strengths that we can help businesses like business owners like yourself with too, is how to remain focused on what you need to do and help you pivot your business in a direction that makes sense for you and doesn't add to the overwhelming aspects of everything else around here. When people say pivot your business, that's a huge undertaking, but it doesn't necessarily have to move in a huge step. My personal background, I'm a graphic designer by trade, so the majority of my career has been project management. So whereas Arthur is the one who comes up with the big great ideas, I'm the one that has to kind of figure out how to make those happen in step-by-step increments. So I think the one of the best things that you can do for yourself is to see where you want to be, and you don't necessarily have to know exactly how you're going to get there, but you have to know the direction you want to go, and then figure out what's the first step I can take to go in that direction, and just do it, little steps by little steps. I think I'm a little off topic from where we're at with the accelerator right now, but Arthur, if you want to jump in and.
Oh, no, I think this is nice because we're actually also, we're sharing our personal experiences as well. And I think it's all really relevant because we're all really in the same boat right now, and we're dealing with a great deal of uncertainty, a lot of unknowns, and obviously we're having to re-envision our business model. What if this goes on for 3 months? Our main revenue sources are mainly from people renting space, office space, doing workshops here, things like that, events. So it's a lot of food for thought. So in a way, for us, we've been actually much busier than we're usually very busy, but now we're like swamped. Like every night, Chris and I are still on email or text 11 o'clock at night, and we start early in the morning. But having these crazy shocks to the system, when you have this, it gives you clarity of purpose in a certain sense, because you have to focus on what you have to focus on in order to just survive and make it. So in a certain sense, it really, sort of the bullshit fades away, and you can just focus on what you need to get done in order to survive and get to the next level, like Chris said. Like, so, in our case was like, how do we do all these things? How do we get on, do virtual programming now? So we're working on that, continue on all our refinancing for the building. I'm still, talking to potential clients about taking space in the building. And I've given a couple of tours, again, maintaining social distancing and all that. We're working on a Fed Dev grant. And this is really, really a good time to sort of refocus, because, you have time. To a certain extent, and you can't do your business as usual. So we have to sort of stop, take a deep breath, and figure out, okay, well, what do we do now, considering that our day-to-day operations are no longer going as in the past. So
if you don't mind me just cutting in for just a
Absolutely.
second, but that's a great thing, and I've talked to a few people about it, is streamlining your business. You have the time now.
Right.
Are you finding that you're finding redundancies in other places, or how are you working your streamlining?
So in our case, we already have a pretty good idea of where we want to go. I mean, we've been working at this project for 8 years now. I think it's just, it's focused us to really sit down and develop our programs that are tied to our Fed Dev application, to really take into account all the things that are happening to Windsor in terms of the economy, and how do we play a role in recreating the new economy going forward? Because the economy as we know it is not going to be the same. There's a lot of people who, even simple things like the third shift. So we're working on a program specifically to help those people basically take their skill set in the automotive and pivot it into a business, right? So we're trying to cater programs specifically for that. So, we want to expand the initiatives that we're currently doing, like our Windsor Women Accelerate, and focus more on bringing in women, and our high school program and whatnot, but also creating new programs that are going to specifically target, the large wave of unemployment that's going to hit us. I mean, Alberta's looking at 20-30% unemployment. Windsor, given our, dependency on the US, may see something similar, right? So what can we do in order to position ourselves to help people get through this? And, mindset is everything, right? So how do we convince people that, things happen? At the end of the day, it's how you react to it, right? Tony Robbins says, 80% of success is psychology, 20% is skill, right? So once we come to terms with the fact that this is the new reality, now, okay, let's focus and focus on what we can do. And our job is to focus on developing programs and creating an avenue for people to access the accelerator, so we can get them to the, to the next step. And that's very much where you guys come in as well. And having the power of the network, I think, is huge, because we can have these discussions, we can have all these resources amazing resources that all of you bring to the table. So in a way, I think for us as small business owners, entrepreneurs, this will bring us closer together because we're all in the same battle and we have to support each other. And, you know, I grew up in a little village in Romania during communist times, right? So you had to get along with everybody because sometimes you had to borrow sugar or yeast or milk or whatever, right? So
Right.
I very much see, like, you know, for us, especially as entrepreneurs and small business owners, it's crucial that we all really figure out how to collaborate together and help each other out because one person's success is everybody else's success. And I love all those posts that I see online that are talking about, hey, the money you're getting from the government, spend it in Canada, spend it on your local business. The more money we keep locally, the more wealthy we'll be as a region, right? So this is another, I think, really important aspect that came out of this. It's like, how do we work to create a more resilient local economy that is not necessarily dependent on, you know, other factors, and really small business entrepreneurship is the way to go, right? Because that's going to be the number one job creator. You know, Ford, Chrysler, GM are not coming and opening large plants in Windsor. You know, I was on call with NACO on last Thursday, and they're the National Association of Canadian Angel Investors, and they had Anthony Lachevera, the gentleman who started W.O.N Mobile and sold it for 1.6 billion. And basically, he's like, you know, we're the farm team to the US right now. So how do we figure out how we build our local companies and support them? And Melanie Joly, the Minister of Economic Development, was there. And basically the question from all the angels and the businesses there were like, hey, how do you invest more money in creating the next unicorns in Canada, as opposed to us being basically a talent pool for US companies? Everybody gets excited when Amazon, you know, comes into Canada, or Facebook, or Google, but they have their best interest at heart. They're not interested necessarily in us, but all of us, we love Windsor, we love Canada. We're here to help our community, right? So I think we are going to be the ones who are going to be driving this change forward and making sure that, you know, what we're creating helps Windsor Essex as a whole and the region as a whole. And I think it's very powerful, and we have to keep that sort of at the forefront. You know, other things that I think are really, you know, important right now, there's a lot of access to resources. So for example, there's a lot of coaching that's being offered free online. So I had a conversation with Jamie Purvis from the Be Do Have movement out of Toronto. I'm going to share that with the group afterwards, or send it to you, Mark, so you can send it. It's a free coaching session. Basically, they do an 8-week run. So it doesn't matter where you start, and it's basically going through your monthly goals, your weekly goals, and your daily goals, habits, rituals, things like that. And most of you are probably familiar and are doing all these things, but it's really nice once in a while to sort of, you know, again, it helps refocus. So, you know, I was sitting through the session, and I'll say I'm probably familiar with 90% of the stuff, but it was really nice to get a refresher and have a few things just be reinforced, you know. And most important is, to David's point, is now that you have time, is where's your business lacking that you can put effort towards making it better right now? Is it creating a better online presence? Is it creating more content? Is it, you know, educating yourself so you have a better skill set? Another thing right now is, like, this is the best time to connect with people, period. Everybody's got downtime. You can connect on LinkedIn, social media, etc. Just the time you can have phone calls, you can have Zoom meetings, build relationships, right? Everybody's in the same boat. People are willing to talk. If you want to talk to somebody, this is the time to do it. Once this thing gets back and the economy gets going, nobody's going to have time, right? Because we're going to be in the trenches, right? Everybody's going to be like spinning their wheels to get back to, you know, regular business. So I see this as a great opportunity to connect. And like I'm constantly on LinkedIn, and I've connected with people like Easter Sunday. Like, people are getting back to me right away. You know, people still want to do business. This is the time.
Well,
you know,
Arthur,
it also creates opportunity, right?
one of the things that I've found works well for me anyways, I don't know about other people, but you know, everybody's business is different, but I like to send small video messages to people. Just, you know, clients, individuals, basically just saying, hey, you know, I hope things are going well. I'm here for you if you need me, that type of thing. It's a little bit more personal than just sending an email.
Absolutely.
Do you find that type of thing would work for you, or?
For me, it's been mostly just phone calls, right? Just messaging people and be like, hey, let's get on call. And I've had, connected with people that I went to high school with now. One of my good friends is running like a massive CBD company in Vancouver. But, he saw some of my stuff on LinkedIn and he's like, hey, let's have a chat. So it's basically obviously connecting with all of our members and making sure that we're aware of their needs and keeping them sane through this time. Like Chris said, for us, it's really not that different than the norm. Actually, in a way, for us, it's a little bit better because now we're getting the same sort of treatment as a regular business, even in terms of the banking, BDC, all that stuff. They realize now that, hey, even though we're non-for-profit, we're a business. We run like a lean startup, and we're also going to be part of that, a major part of the economic recovery. So I think they're paying more attention to us now.
Speaking of attention, just quick, Cheryl asked a question here and said, she's asking if Facebook if Instagram is more beneficial than Facebook. Now, when you guys promote the accelerator and your programs and stuff like that, do you find that Facebook is better, that Instagram is better? Is there a particular social media that seems to work better for you?
You know what? I'm not an expert in that. I'll let Chris handle that one. I don't even have Instagram. I had it and I deleted it like 3 times. It drives me crazy. So I only, that's me. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook mostly. But yeah, so.
I think which platform you use would depend on your specific business, but I would caution from using one and not the other, because they're both free to put your own posts up. You can buy advertising runs, of course, on either one of them, but there's platforms out there like Hootsuite and others that also are free that let you post from one to the other with one post. You're not making one post for Facebook, one post for Twitter, one post for Instagram. You can have one post and put it out to all those networks at the same time. So you're reaching all of those people regardless of whether or not they're strictly Instagram or they're like Arthur and they don't use Instagram and they just use Facebook. There's tools out there to let you use these platforms very effectively. Colin, I see that you're on here and you can probably speak better to that than I can.
It all comes down to what your target audience is. And even when you've got a specific target audience, there's anomalies. The best thing I can suggest, and what I use for all my strategies, is use everything, monitor everything, and adjust your strategy accordingly. It's hard to, unless you're doing A/B testing or you spend weeks reading studies and really diving into everything. The easiest way to do it, because of how easy it is to advertise on these free social platforms, is to use every single one of them, figure out what works best for your business, make sure you're tracking everything, and then just keep going down that path and adjusting accordingly.
I'm going to jump in here for a second because we have Cynthia Ballard from CB Marketing. Cynthia, do you have any additional suggestions here? Oh, maybe Cynthia's not there.
The other thing to Colin's point is, and Colin's our expert, and he works with us in terms of putting out our marketing strategy and messages. But I think the key thing is just keeping going over the outcomes and going over the how effective is it? Because ultimately everybody has a different target audience, right? So some people may be targeting, boomers, other people may be targeting millennials, et cetera. So you want to make sure that whatever form of social media you're using, you're hitting the desired audience and getting the desired outcomes, right? Yeah. If it's just simply getting followers, that's one thing. But if it's like actually, turning those followers into potential paying clients, well, that's another thing, right? So I think that's why you're also seeing a lot of activity right now, especially on the coaching end, where everybody's offering free programs, right? Because eventually they hope to, move those people from the free program into the paid program. So
yeah.
That's a good point, Arthur. There's another aspect to social media marketing. It's not just promoting your business, and promoting your services. It's providing something of value to the person that you're trying to reach.
Yeah.
And to Arthur's point, there's so many companies and individuals offering free services. There's those companies that are offering something right now that's for free. They're not necessarily giving away their entire bag of tricks. They're giving you something that will provide some assistance to you, whether it's these free online coaching sessions, or there's a lot of companies that are offering free delivery service or discounted delivery service. They're putting something out there that's beneficial to the audience, but they're also getting brand recognition out there right now as a company or an individual that actually cares and that is doing something, because we're all in the same boat. Everybody's financially hurting right now. And it's not very easy to say, hey, I'm going to do this for free. But if there's a way in your business that you can provide some information to someone that's not going to, hurt your bottom line that significantly, that you can take advantage of some of this quote unquote downtime that we all have, and put some things together out there, I really believe that those are the companies that people are going to remember when this is over, as opposed to the ones who are charging full price or going out there and not really trying to adapt. I think it's a very beneficial thing to be able to say, hey, you know what, I'm an expert in field A, and here are my thoughts on how this field is operating, or here's what you can do, here's how we can help you, things like that.
And to Chris,
sorry, Arthur, Terry put his hand up there. Did you have a...
Yes, very quickly, I wanted to chime in about Instagram. It seems that what is going on in Instagram over the last 60 days is that I'm seeing that pretty much everything in there is very civil and very positive. And over the last 60 days, what's happening is my personal Facebook feed is completely packed with negativity and poison of the absolute worst kind because of the COVID stuff. So anyone who's heading over to Instagram right now and finding more relief in there is definitely on the right path.
Okay, thanks, Terry.
Sorry, I was just going to jump in quickly to build on Chris's point. I think it's not necessarily even offering the service that you are an expert in. One great example that comes to mind is Men in Kilts. Like, they're delivering food for people, elderly people, for people at risk, healthcare workers, etc. I think that is going to be hugely beneficial for them once this is all over, because people are going to remember, if you're going to get somebody to clean your gutters, guess what? You're going to get the company that helped the community when it was at its at its worst time. So whatever you can do in terms of adding value and helping people, this is a great time to build your brand and get connected and have people remember you, because people remember things when when you're in a crisis, you're much more likely to remember it than when things are going well. Like, my dad spent 2 years in refugee camp in Hungary. And he's closer with those people that he was in the refugee camp than with any other people, because they went through very trying times, right? So you're going to remember, this is a time we're all going to remember. It's unprecedented. I've talked to people, from, age 50, 60, 70, and nobody seems to remember anything like this, right? Maybe people who went through the Second World War and things like that. But this is quite unique in the fact that we're not even allowed to leave our houses technically, right? So it's a crazy, crazy time. It's hugely important to stay mentally, focused and healthy. And great point, Terry, about Instagram being more positive. Maybe I'll try it again. Maybe I'll go on it, because you are absolutely right. When I read, and again, I take everything with a grain of salt, but when you read Facebook lately and you see all the protests in the US and things like that, you're like, oof, sometimes natural selection must happen. It is what it is,
And on
well, unfortunately,
on Instagram, it's just, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's just on Instagram. It's one photo. It's direct. It's to the point. It's usually something very uplifting and positive is what I'm seeing.
That's great.
And it's much easier to relate at this particular point on the calendar.
Yeah, and unfortunately, to your point there, Arthur, there are going to be some businesses through this that simply aren't going to make it.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is, and the people who don't make it, well, they're going to have two choices. They're going to have to basically just, say, okay, business, isn't for me, and I'm done, and off to get a normal regular job like a regular person, or they're going to jump right back in, and they're going to start from scratch and start again. And that's why places like the Accelerator, I hope the network, and things like that, CFIB can be there to, kind of help these people, start from ground up again. I saw a Facebook comment the other day where somebody was saying they've hit rock bottom, and somebody put a little post on it saying, yeah, you know, I think it was from J.K. Rowling. And I don't remember the exact wording, so don't quote me on this, but basically she said that, you know, you use rock bottom as your foundation to start going up again,
Right.
you know, and that's what you have to do, unfortunately. But there's going to be a lot of businesses, you know, if this goes on. And I run a little group called the COVID Connection. And Terry, don't come on there because everything I put on there is just straight information. So it's not a fun place to be, but it's good, solid information. And yeah, you're looking at this going on for, you know, they're looking, you know, July and August before they're really gonna be relaxing any, you know, serious.
Because everybody's scared of the second wave, right? I mean,
And that's what it is. I mean, and if you go look back, and we're in a different position, obviously, but if you look back to 1918 and the pandemic then, the first wave, and sorry, Terry, put your thing on mute. The first wave killed 3 to 5 million people. The second wave killed over 25 million.
right.
And basically it's because people locked themselves down, you know, as we're doing now. And then when they relaxed things, people rushed out to the parks and the beaches and the theaters and whatever else. And because they had been locked down and hadn't been exposed, but it was now out there in the community even stronger, the second wave was even worse. And that's what they're concerned about. And from a business aspect, that's something we have to keep an eye on is, you know, the first wave is now knocking the you know, the heck out of us. If there's a second wave, we need to be ready for it. You know,
Right.
we need to be financially, business-wise, everything else. We need to be prepared. If it doesn't happen, great. You know, it's like having an insurance policy. You hope you never have to use it.
Right.
We're going
right.
to find out in the next couple of weeks with 3 or 4 states south of the border.
Yeah,
We'll
Georgia's
find out
opening up on Monday.
Yeah,
just
right.
exactly what's going to happen.
Well, it's in Japan already. There's cities that have reopened, and their second wave is like basically putting them on shutdown. So it's already happened in a few places globally. They tried to open up, and you saw the Swedes were very sort of nonchalant in terms of like, hey, we're Sweden, we can handle it. We're very, very you know, careful in the way we're doing it, but we're not shutting anything down. And now they're dealing with a huge crisis. Because they didn't take any real measures. So they just kept everything open. You know, so to David's point, I think it's really important. How do we plan the next, you know, 3 to 6 months? So we're prepared because there's nothing worse than sort of, you know, thinking it's all over and then, you know, we have to go through this again. So in a way, being prepared mentally just puts you in a good space. You know, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. And
You got it.
Yeah. Also, in our case, we're launching it soon. We're just in preparing all the documentation for it so we can put it on social. But we're going to offer a free virtual membership to the accelerator. Another good thing that we're recommending and we're doing with our members, but everybody from the W.O.N group obviously is welcome. And it's going to start not this Thursday. So our meetings for the accelerator are Thursdays, every Thursday at 1:30. So tomorrow we're going to have Eric Kuzmierczak, and again, I extend the invitation to everybody. So RMP.
I'll put a link to the Zoom in the chat for tomorrow's Zoom with Eric.
So, you know, again, if we have questions and if we, you know, bring things like of this nature, we're going to ask him like, Eric, what's the government planning if this does go on for 3 to 6 months? What are you going to do for small business, things like that? So please join so we can ask all those questions because he's obviously connected to directly to the source. So he's in the best position to tell us what else might be coming from the government because I know they're constantly working on new things. And the other thing we're going to do, and it's going to start the following Thursday, is the Accelerator Book Club. The first book we're reading is The Alchemist. I think it's very fitting actually for for these times. So every 2 weeks we're gonna read a book. The other one, you know, most of our other books are gonna be obviously a lot more business oriented, things like that. But we figure we start with something a little bit more whimsical, but also I think it's a great story of resilience and pursuing your passion and following your path.
Arthur, just to the accelerator and the businesses there, one of the things I'm planning, hopefully over the next couple of weeks, is, as I said, we're going to continue with this Zoom Wednesdays, but I want to do a promotional Zoom for businesses. If you're open and you have a product, let's do a Zoom where people can, and we're going to spread this around all over the place. Let's open it up to the public and say, hey, here we are. This is what we do. You know, if you want to display it through the Zoom, that's great. If you just want to promote it and advertise it, that's great. But it's just basically letting people know I'm here, I'm open, this is what I do. You know, here's my website, come and check it out. You know, a lot of people aren't sure if certain smaller businesses, you know, the non-brick and mortars, they don't know about them. They don't know if they're open, if people aren't promoting as well as they could. So I want to try and give people a hand up with letting people know they're there and trying to bring some income, you know, to them if we can. So I don't have a date for that set. I'm just working on the structure of it now, but I'll let everybody know, and I'll be posting that through the network.
Yeah, that's a great idea, actually, David. I think it's important. And again, you know, a lot of these businesses don't really know how to promote well. And, you know, you have a captive audience, and again, we'll get to know each other better. We'll build those relationships, and, you know, you do business with people that you know and you trust. So
absolutely. And this is a way to, this is the biggest, you know, networking meeting that we could possibly, you know, get. You can invite, I have a webinar program attached to Zoom where we can actually have up to 10,000 people. Right. You know, so I mean, we can do a massive shout out from different businesses to let, you know, large numbers know I'm here, this is what we're doing, you know, and it's free, you know, which is, you know, a benefit to everybody. I'm just going to jump to Cynthia for a minute because she's back online here. Just a quick question, Cynthia, on the Instagram, which Terry and a few others had asked earlier. Is there, you know, can you give any other advice other than what was said already?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all of them. I mean, Colin has a really good point. It's really important for it to be a strategy. So there are things that are available where we can schedule everything out. And that's fantastic if it's just a matter of wanting to get out there. But having a strategy for each platform is important too, because you have different sizes and different purposes. So in Instagram's more picture, where Facebook, you can have, you know, your messaging plus your picture. So it's important to keep that in mind in your marketing. It's not really a cookie cutter across all boards. Same thing if you're using LinkedIn, you're talking to business. So you want to be really careful and not scheduling out the exact same message or the exact same post. However, there are a lot of tools that like Hootsuite, like Chris had mentioned, where you can use that, or you know, Later is another one that you can use, that you can say which image you're going to use for each of those posts and each of those platforms. So if you're spending, you know, 4 hours in your month to plan out everything, you can use those tools. They're available to you. The other thing I wanted to say is that there was a lot of mention about negativity on Facebook and kind of staying away from that. Something to keep in mind from a marketing aspect is you have the opportunity to stand out. So be that positive voice, be that positive connection to the community, and create something that stops the flow. So if you're using pinks and whites and different colors, there's color theories that you can use in Facebook to kind of stop that scroll. Now is the time to do that, because there is so much negativity or so much about COVID. Stand out, right? And it doesn't have to necessarily be about your product, but how you can help with your gifts, your passions, your product, your service. You know, just be that positive light. That's all I wanted to kind of talk about.
Appreciate that. That's great stuff. Arthur?
I think
sorry, Arthur, sorry. Cheryl's put up her hand a few times, and I want to just give her a chance here. Cheryl? Oh, okay. Sorry. Go ahead there, Arthur.
Oh, I think on our end, we're I think that's pretty much it. I think again, these are really, really useful. We just need to continuously do this. I think it's really powerful and reinforcing. You know, we're getting to know each other. We're figuring out who adds value where. And again, you know, if people in a group, you obviously have a lot of you know, individuals who offer different services, but if there's anything specific that people want to work on now, so for example, if you want to patent something, trademark, IP, things like that, let's just put them out there, and let's do all the things that now we have an opportunity to do that, you know, we usually put aside because we're running the day-to-day business. And the other thing is, just like, again, going back to mindset, you know, exercise, meditate, eat healthy as much as possible. And my favorite, which everybody does not seem to find it great, but I swear by it, and it really works: cold showers. I promise.
I knew that was coming up.
Your life.
As much as I shout at Arthur about his hokey pokey nonsense. That there's a lot of science behind the cold showers. Cold showers and sauna visits are absolutely scientifically backed, and they will help you out cognitively very much.
I just want to pop back in really quick. I didn't realize you can't copy paste out of the chat window. So David, can I send you the Zoom info for tomorrow, and can you forward that to everyone in your group?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll do so. Everybody that wants to join our Zoom conference tomorrow, you don't need to be an Accelerator member to join. Just watch for that email from David. And then I've also been seeing people interested in our free membership. So we're still putting together the details of that. And we will post that on our social media. It will definitely be this week. We just have to get the sign up form put together. So we'll post that on our social media for the Accelerators, Facebook for sure, our Instagram, our LinkedIn, and our Twitter. I will, again, I can't copy paste the addresses out of the chat either. So I do appreciate the interest, but please check our Facebook. And if you are interested and want to reach out to us directly, please feel free to message us at our Facebook or send an email to hello@downtownaccelerator.com, and we'll make sure that you get the info as well.
And please, if you can join tomorrow, I think it's really important that we have more people represented, because Eric needs to sort of relay that message to his colleagues in Parliament and to the Prime Minister, the Minister of Economic Development, that small business entrepreneurship in Windsor, Essex is alive and well. We're working really hard to do our part, and we want them to provide us with the tools and resources for us to be successful, because we are going to be the answer to the economic recovery. It's really going to be our efforts that are going to help create the new wave of jobs.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, and I'm sure Nicole will agree with this. The small business needs a voice, because we're small, because we're individual, because we don't, we only, connect with a small number of other small businesses and people that we know. If there's situations that we need rectified, it's really hard for anybody to, help with that. So, the CFLB.
What time of day is it going on tomorrow? What time of the day?
1:30 to 2:30.
Well, just not to take time from Arthur and Christopher, but as we're talking about free memberships as well, CFIB is offering that we've opened up for non-members for the first time in our 50 years. So if anybody has any questions, need help, you can take advantage of an introductory membership, and there's no exceptions. You get all the savings, all the information, all the benefits, everything as a member has. So if you want more information on that, you can contact me directly and I can help you out. And I believe 100% in the Accelerator. I'm in there a lot, visiting with your businesses that are in there and doing all I can to help them as well.
Well, and also, Nicole, if you want to just send us the info, we'd love to share it, and we'll share it on all our social as well.
And same, I'll do the same for you guys as well, because I know a lot of the business owners that I'm talking to right now that are not being able to pay their rent, not going to know where they're going to go. The Accelerator is going to be a great place for them to stay connected, to stay in business, and to get to the next step.
Well, and that's going to be a great thing for people. So if people on this chat could spread it through their networks as well, because again, the more people that we have, letting Eric know what your problems are and what your concerns are, the more representation he can take back, the better it'll be for everyone. I'm sure Arthur, Nicole, I'm sure all of us have gotten questions from other people we know. Do you know, I'm having trouble, getting, the $40,000 grant. Do you know anybody? This type of thing. So it'd be nice to have, you can always contact myself, Arthur, Nicole, any of the organizations here, to try and get you the information you need. I know I've been contacted repeatedly by people saying, there was one young lady, she's only been open since January. She went to the bank to get the $40,000. They want last year's, documents. She says, I can't give you that. I wasn't open last year. So she's working with the financial institution, but from a paperwork side, they're giving her a hard time. So there's lots of other people that are falling through the cracks and don't know what to do. So places like the Accelerator, is a great place to contact to get that information.
And also, very much to Nicole's point, as we're looking at the, coming out of this and recovery, we're happy to talk to people in businesses that you may know that are looking for like customized help, whether they're looking for space, different things, because as Chris mentioned earlier, we own our building. It's our building. We're very flexible. We work with all our members to help them succeed, right? So it's not like dealing with a very rigid organization that says, hey, listen, this is all we have and take it or leave it. If you need something, like a dedicated desk for a month till you get, or 3 months, whatever it is, till you get your business back, or you get an office, or you move to your, you can afford to rent your old space again, things like that. We just want to be here to help and get people through this, because the more companies that we can help, survive this, the more resilient, confident, and the better they'll do after this. There's going to be some amazing companies that come through this crisis. Like, every time things like this happen, the ones that do make it are going to be some phenomenal successes. So, the more we can also tell people that we're here and spread that message, I think it'll empower them, encourage them to keep going. And sometimes, our motto at the Accelerator is "Don't die." You never know.
Great motto.
Make it, right?
One of many mottos, but yes.
Yeah.
So just a question, Arthur.
Yep.
If Dave's going to send out the link to this webinar tomorrow or the Zoom meeting tomorrow, can we then turn around and share that on our Facebook and say, hey, small business people,
Absolutely.
This is available to everybody?
We want as many people as possible, because again, it'll strengthen our argument to Eric and Eric's argument to all the higher ups that he's dealing with, especially the economic development people. And Eric was part of the Accelerator ecosystem. Like, he was working for WeTech before he became an MP. Also, one of his assistants, Svetlana, was a member of the Accelerator for 5-6 years. So we have really close contacts with them. They get back to us right away. I'm on conversation with Eric pretty much every other day. And, he wants to know. He wants to know what's going on. He wants to know what's happening. He wants to be able to portray as clear an image of the situation on the ground as possible. So this is a good opportunity for us to really bring our message forward and give them sort of a mandate in terms of what we want as entrepreneurs and small businesses from the government.
Chris, you have your hand up?
Oh, that was earlier.
Oh, okay. Greg, I know you did just, yeah.
Sorry.
Hi, good morning. Just as a bit of a caution, though, remember what happened with Zoom last week when they were getting a lot of Zoom bombings happening when all the information was shared on Facebook. So I'm not sure that you really want all your ID information and the passwords being shared directly on Facebook. But that's up to you folks how you want to run it. I just don't want you to have a disaster with Eric on tomorrow. That's all.
Well, I mean, we really want to target, obviously, like small businesses and entrepreneurs. We don't want this necessarily the general population to jump on there and it's really the network and people in your network that you feel like, hey, listen, you should be on this because this is the time to ask these questions and put them forward. But great point. Absolutely. Right.
And there is a way, Greg, which is what I do here, as everybody knows, because I had to do it. You can have people register, and then that way you know who's getting access to your event. You can also set up, Zoom has a thing where you can set up a password. I haven't done that because we haven't needed to. But if you're having a large, announced Zoom event, you can create a password that gets emailed to people, and only the people with the password can get in. So there are a couple of security things at levels that you can do for Zoom if you need to.
And the thing is, what we can do is basically allow people to ask questions through chat and things like that, versus letting everybody just sort of like be able to access the video and talk, right? So they can send in their questions, Eric can answer them, things like that. And just the organizers will sort of facilitate. So myself and Christopher can just facilitate all the questions and answers, which may make it a little bit more orderly as well. And we'll document it as well. Obviously we'll record it, but as the questions come in the chat box, then we can have a list of everything and document it. And then we can put a document together that we can send to Eric and be like, hey, by the way, we just want to recap. These are the things that were brought forward. And these are the main sort of priority areas that were highlighted by all the individuals who joined us.
Well, do you record your Zoom chats?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, then you'll have all your information there. You can.
Right.
Now, just because we are getting close to our time, Is there anybody that had questions for Arthur or Chris or anybody in the group in general, since we're all here? No questions. Okay, I actually like that because that means that people have their stuff together and you know. Okay. Well, if nobody has any other questions, do you guys have any last minute things you wanted to throw? Oh, sorry, Carlo.
I just wanted to say about the Zoom meeting. I think you guys know, because I've hosted one just yesterday, so I still don't know how to quite do this, but you can, as the host, should be able to mute everybody's microphone and then have control if it's you and Chris that are doing it, whoever, and Eric for that matter.
Right.
But I think it's a great idea. I just posted it now. I think it's a great idea that you do create a list of questions that are up there and then resend it to them. Because yeah, things go on. It could be an hour. It could be longer than an hour. Usually they're about an hour, and everybody's going to forget because everything goes so fast. So that's why now everybody's posed the question, do you have any questions? And everybody's thinking, I had a question when it first started, but now I don't have a question. So I think there are questions out there. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Now, just as a reminder for people who either don't know or we record all the Zoom chats and we post them onto the W.O.N website. So
I'm glad I got my hair done then.
There you go. So you can actually go back now and look at the last 2 or 3 Zoom Wednesdays and hear some of the information that was discussed then. We'd like everybody to have access to the information that we discuss. So if you know people who haven't been able to make it to any of the Zooms, but they still want to get some of the information, it is available. Again, we're going to be doing this every Wednesday, and I'll be putting on a list anyways. But as I said, I'm just going to reiterate for some people who jumped in a little bit late. Next Wednesday, we have Nicole from CFIB as our guest host. There she is. Oh, sorry, is it 2 weeks? Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry. Yes, sorry, you're right. Next week is Alex Brown. What I was saying. Alex Brown is the founder of, along with some other gentlemen, of the Beard Club, e-commerce rock star. He's an international speaker. He's literally, if you go to his Facebook, it's like around the world in 80 days. He's been everywhere. He's been in a ton of different magazines and blogs across the States. So great resource there. Then on May 6th, we have Nicole from CFIB. On the 13th, we have Jimmy Graham, a coach, sales coach, and motivational speaker. Hilarious guy, great guy. So if you want to talk about business and have a laugh at the same time, he's a great guy to deal with. And then on May 20th, we have Reno Bortolini, if I'm correct pronouncing that correctly.
Bortolin.
No
way at the end.
Okay, sorry. He's one of the city councilors here in Windsor, and he will be on May 20th to discuss small business in Windsor, the COVID situation, what they've done so far, what they're going to be doing in the future if things continue on the way they currently are, and how they're going to look at dealing with things as they open up, transportation and other aspects that affect small business. And that's as far as we booked right now up to the 20th of May. We are going to be doing but there's no date for the set. I'll be announcing it. We're going to be doing a Zoom promotional event. So if you want to just come on and let people know that your business is open, what you're doing, what your hours are, what your website is, you can come on there and just promote the heck out of yourself. I'm going to be opening that up to the public. It's because we want everybody to know it's not just other businesses that we want to know that you're open. It's the general public we want to know. So we're going to be, now what I might be doing, to be quite honest, is I might, because we're discussing the structure, we might actually just record the day with the business owners and then promote the video to the general public to avoid, potential, disruptions from nefarious people. But we're still discussing that. So I'll let you know that at the time. That's the main programs we have going on right now. We're looking at doing some online classes for different business aspects. Sorry, hang on for a second there. We're looking at doing some different classes for, marketing, branding, finances, stuff like that. Right now everybody needs to know how to deal with all aspects of business. So we're going to be putting on some classes for that. That'll be announced shortly as well. And if you guys, as I said, the network is open to everybody. It's a community. It's not just a few people running things. I want people to get involved. So if you have thoughts, ideas, programs you'd like to see, classes you'd like to see, classes you'd like to put on, don't be afraid to speak up. Send me some info. We'll see about getting things set up, because as Arthur says, the accelerator, this is a community. It's not just, it's not a business. It's not, it's the people.
Right.
So if the people get involved, it brings more energy, it brings more information, it rolls things forward. And the more, people get involved, the more interesting things get, the more information gets out there, and it just snowballs from there. So, please don't be afraid to speak up at any time, either during a Zoom, on Facebook, email me, call me. I'm always here, I'm always here. So, anybody else have anything you want to say before we close up? Oh, Sean?
Yeah, so I just actually posted something to the group because I was just chatting with my accountant, and because I have a lot of smaller business clients, some that do residual income businesses, direct selling, that sort of stuff, and other real estate investors. And a lot of their concern was, hey, I make $400, $500 a month cash flow from a rental property or 2 rental properties. The way that the CERB plan was working before said that if you made even $1, you are ineligible for the program.
And do up to 1,000 now, Sean.
Exactly, and that's what I just shared to the thing. So I just found that out. So I shared that to the thing. So hey man, they listened, which is good, because I thought that was completely ridiculous. Because imagine somebody who works at a 7-Eleven, makes $14 an hour, they could get $2,000 because they're shut down and they're closed. But somebody who's running a self-employed business that makes a little bit less because they're on reduced, they wouldn't have qualified. So good thing that they listened, and they're making it right for business owners. So that was some good news. So I wanted to share that. And because again, I completely agree with Terry. There is obviously negativity out there. We need to keep it down and pop up the good stuff as much as we can. Absolutely.
And yes, the one thing I'm going to give and I don't normally bring politics into my group. I just, it's something I try to avoid. But I do have to say this, that currently I am impressed with all levels of government, provincial and federal. I think they've really, stepped up and handled the situation, quite well. They're looking at the people, they're looking at the businesses, they're looking at the problems, and are they constantly changing things? Yes, because it's a constantly changing and fluid situation. Are they missing things? Absolutely. But when people are speaking up, they're finding those gaps and they're filling them, which is why, to Arthur's point, we really need to let Eric know, or Eric, I pronounce it Eric, but Eric know what's going on with us, because if we don't speak up, they don't know. And the more information they get, the more they can fill those gaps, which will be better for everybody.
And again, that's where I'm going to just plug at the CFIB right now, because it's because of business owners like you that the government has made the change to serve, has made the change to the 40,000, has made the change to the wage subsidy. So your voice does make a difference. So keep talking, keep getting it out there, keep asking for the parameters to change, because we need every single business owner should be entitled to some type of subsidy, some type of support to help their business. We don't all fit into the little boxes that the government's been putting out. But to what you said, David, 100%, when I look at the politics in the states and the infighting between the governors and the states and the federal, and I'm so happy to be a Canadian where we're all working together and we're all looking to get things going the right way. And when our economy does get up and going, I'm just praying that we do it in slow steps and when we're all ready, so we don't go through this again.
Well, I know both levels of government are getting pressure to open up the economy, from all levels of business. You know, they're saying the smaller businesses are going, I'm dying here. You got to do something. The bigger businesses are going, we're bleeding out here. You know, you got to do something. But, you know, to your point, you know, if we move too quickly, if we, you know, open things up too fast, and, you know, the backlash is going to be 10 times worse. So unfortunately, we're all going to have to, you know, hold on the best we can. Hopefully the government will continue, you know, both levels will continue to, you know, do what they've been doing and helping things out and making funds available, so that we can last through this. You know, and then as they do slowly roll things out, which you're looking at, you know, again, you know, minimum 3 to 4 months before things even get back to any kind of normal, which isn't going to be normal anyways. And until the vaccine comes out, you know, we're really looking at not seeing any kind of normal situation. I can't see, you know, bars and restaurants being, you know, packed and full in the next 3 months. I just can't see that. You know, it would be insane. So we're looking at, you know, realistically a long, you know, drawn out situation, slowly opening up, watching for that second wave and the backlash to come, you know, and then keeping an eye. And unfortunately, if the second wave does come, they're going to slam things down again. So again, as we said earlier, everybody needs to be prepared, have a plan. You know, we've been slapped once, you know, we were caught off guard. Everybody has to make sure that they have their plans in place, their guards up. So when it does happen, you know, it's not going to hurt as bad the second time.
Yeah, another point is, like, we're lucky that we have people like Nicole and these gentlemen here to fight for the small businesses. And on a personal note, like, our business is out of business technically, but some of us that are on a fixed income, which has been kind of subsidizing this thing, like Sean can speak to this, we're losing 25, 30, 35% of our retirement capital. Bingo, just like that's gone. So maybe we need a group to help the seniors a little bit.
Well, actually, to that point, Dave, I've been working on in the background, and this is not official, so it's going to be recorded, but you know, it's out nowadays. I've been talking with Arthur about it as well. I'm working on a magazine that's focused on older entrepreneurs. Basically getting information for people who have just come into the entrepreneurial, you know, arena, and are, you know, of an age. One of the things that they've said basically, and before this all happened, was that the entrepreneurs that tend to start and make it the longest and survive tend to be older entrepreneurs, because they have the capital built up, they have the experience, you know, their kids are already, you know, older or grown, so they just need information, they need help there. So one of the things that we're going to be doing is getting information and setting up a website and so forth and so on, dealing with you know, older entrepreneurs and what's available to them and the different programs that are available. So you and I will speak to that separately, because there are some programs and some financial stuff, grants and stuff available for older entrepreneurs. Okay. Does
David,
anybody else
I got a quick question. Is that to do with the COVID issue of certain losses, or is this for future for these people to not lose their capital that they've invested in their businesses?
Oh, no, this is not the programs I'm talking about were pre-existing.
Okay, so basically, so they don't lose their nest egg that they're trying to build up as an entrepreneur, because you want to dip into your retirement savings to create your business and then lose it all.
Yeah, what it is because a lot of people, older entrepreneurs, have real estate and other things that they can use. There are certain programs that are available at various financial levels to basically help them starting the new business. Does that mean that they're not going to have to dig into their nest eggs? Not necessarily. It depends on the size of the business they're trying to start, how quickly they want to start it, what the format for their business is and everything else, the equipment that they need. But there are some programs available. Are they huge numbers? No. But are they there to help and assist? Yes. So I'll get that information together. I'll send it to you as well, Carla.
And this may be something that we want to bring up tomorrow with IREC. And again, Nicole, also as well, if you could share with your members as well, they're welcome to join our session. I think, again, the more information and firepower we can give Eric, the more effective he's going to be in terms of negotiating on our behalf.
I feel having a bit more support for older entrepreneurs is very important. A lot of the money I see gets sent out to people who are under 20, under 30, without much support for people who are older than that. And it doesn't make much sense because there's a lot of people who are older, who are more financially stable, who have learned a lot of the lessons that come hand in hand with being an entrepreneur your whole life. It seems like a safer bet to be giving the older crowd that kind of money. But there's not a lot of support in Canada for that. Look at all the people here who are entrepreneurs. Who here is under 20 years old, 30 years old? Like this is the crowd of people who need that money and who are just recently discovering how much we can create with the internet, and that you're not just retiring and that's it. Like the world is open up to everybody because of the internet now, and we need to adjust the financial capital to help accommodate that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to Arthur's point earlier, he said that they're going to be running some programs dealing with the closing of the third shift. Well, here you have, I think 1,500 people with the third shift, 1,500 people with various levels of skills. They have some financial, backing behind them. Or at least I would assume that a good number of them do.
At least good credit history.
At least good credit history for the most part.
People have a lot of equity in their houses, things like that. It's a really, really good time in a way to borrow money because it's very cheap to borrow money nowadays comparatively in terms of starting a business. So the opportunity is there in a sense, but again, you need to David's point, you need the guidance so you don't waste your money.
And that's what it is. A lot of these people have some skills. Maybe they're an electrician there, or a pipe fitter, or have some kind of previous skill of their own that they can now leverage. They have the money to be able to do that, with their real estate or whatever their finances that they've saved. But they don't have the business knowledge. They jump in and go, okay, I don't even know where to start, and that's where we, that's where we as a network are going to be focusing a little bit of our energies. Personally, with the magazine and the website for the magazine, that's where we're going to be focused at. Because I'm an old guy, I know how hard it is to jump into something that's totally unfamiliar to you, and a lot of times it's sink or swim. So it'd be great to have places like the Accelerator and CFIB and the magazine and the network where people can come and say, okay, where do I start? What do I do? What's this internet thing, and how do I work it? I'm going to ask a quick question, and this is totally off topic because, and I don't want to take this too much longer because we're already 10 minutes over. But real quick, I just want a show of hands here. With the handshakes and the personal touching for business, what do you are you guys going to continue with the handshakes later on, or this was a question that came up with the group?
Just send some energy. Just send some energy.
There you go. Just something to think about. We don't have to really get into a discussion on it, but just something to think about. We were discussing this in the group as to what different types of contact we're going to be doing with business partners at networking events, clients, things like this. What is going to be the common way to, when you meet somebody. Some people are saying bumping elbows. Although I don't recommend that because they tell you to cough into your elbow and then you're going to bump elbows. So I don't recommend that one. So just give that some thought. It's just totally off topic.
Bump the non-coughing elbow. Cough left, bump right.
Well, what if you're yep, it's true though. But yeah, I myself, I'm not an elbow guy, but just give that some thought. I'm gonna basically just close out for the day. Is there anybody else who want to make any quick last comment?
Squirt the sanitizer directly into your hand and then shake with that hand.
There you go. There you
Moist
go.
handshake.
It's this.
Moisturize again.
It's the slippery handshake. There you go.
Good
Okay.
one, Sean. Good one.
There you go. Okay, guys. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank Arthur and Chris for showing up and sharing with us, and everybody else who commented and brought up some suggestions. Please try to attend tomorrow with Arthur. I'll be posting the information in the network and through some of the other groups. I think, again, really important to have a voice. So next Wednesday, we have Alex. Please don't miss that one. That's going to be a phenomenal meeting there. He's got a ton of information. And I look forward to seeing everybody, sometime. Have a great day, guys.
Blessings
Thank
on.
you. Thank you, Arthur.
Yeah.
Have an
Thank you,
awesome
Arthur. Thank you,
Good
Chris.
seeing everybody. Good seeing everybody. It was awesome.
Bye, guys.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Talk to y'all later.
See you later, Carl. I'll send that information to you.
Have a good day.